What's up, the internet? I'm Kyle. That's Dan.
Yeah.
We're here.
Uh-huh.
This is In Stores This Week.
Yes, it is.
Show where we talk about books that are in stores this week.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Although this week we might talk about Tommy Brady.
Yeah, perfect Tommy.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok a minute ago. That was Satan coming to collect on Tom Brady's soul.
Mm-hmm.
But then when Tom Brady totally left the Patriots organization out of his retirement speech, Satan goes, "That's a little mean even for me. Maybe I could use you on Earth." It was a pretty good skit on the TikTok. But all right, so we'll start here, guys. It is a weird week in comics.
It is.
There are not a lot of books out. Part of that has to do with the 5th week printing schedule. So January had 5 Wednesdays or 4 Wednesdays. But when you look at this week, this is technically a 5th Wednesday, even though it's the first Wednesday of February. It's with the way the print schedules work, this was always going to be a weird week. Then when you pile on paper shortage, all kinds of stuff is getting bumped off and not printed and moved. So,
yeah, I'll be happy to stop getting the 10-page health care reports every time I go see a doctor for a cold and just have them print comics. I'd be good with that.
Mm-hmm. I get them digital. I don't have them print them off anymore. Because they're like, those college textbooks that you're like, there's no way we're getting through this in one semester because they're like 375 pages. That's what my after visit summaries look like from the doctor. They're like, you're sick. No shit, Sherlock. All right. So we'll start with I have a book that I want to mention, and it wasn't when we got to read. Ooh, okay. Wasn't when we got to read. But I wanted to mention it, give it at least honorable mention.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, Lee. Sorry.
Yeah, hey, Jeff and Lee. Sorry. In terms of stuff that came out this week worth mentioning, one of the books out this week is the official Image Comics timeline, which we've been talking about a bunch. Here on Experience.
I had Jim on my show about a month or so back. He talked about it, showed us some original pages from it at the time.
Mm-hmm. And then he was on with Miss Jen yesterday and talked about it some more. But Image Comics officially changed the entire comic book game 30 years ago today. Something I didn't know, and Jim didn't mention it on your show, and he mentioned it yesterday, and then I went and did a whole big deep dive. Like, it got a little ugly, the level of stalkery I got researching Image Comics in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
Serial killers would have been proud of me. But the amount of Image Comics only exists because of Malibu Comics.
Yes.
That has happened is really impressive. I think Dan froze.
No, I'm here.
Are you there?
I'm here.
Am I the one who froze?
Yes, you are. Your signal's getting really bad there, Kyle.
Okay. Okay.
So for those who don't know, you're still kind of blurry.
Talk about this thing.
All right, it's over there. We're into our final 50 hours for Karma. It is coming up to the end. We just hit our big stretch goal, which made all of the graphic novels hardcovers. So whether you get the Mirka Andolfo, the Stepan Sejic, or the Michael D. Pascal regular or naughty covers, it's going to be a hardcover. So all the books are hardcover. The 3 trading cards have been unlocked. It's good to go. We are currently sitting at right around 44,600. So that's coming along nicely. We're at 976 backers. I'm hoping we get to 1,000 because that sounds like a nice round. 977. Thank you for somebody just jumped in. So we're getting close to 1,000 backers. We're getting close to 45,000. And we're going to do that last 48-hour push. So expect me to be popping up anywhere I can to talk about it. But yeah, it's finally coming to an end. So starting Thursday, I won't have to talk about it again for a while, which will be nice because I'm really bad and hate self-promoting. But yeah, so if you haven't checked it out yet, it's an original erotic romantic graphic novel. It's based on some of my real life experiences as a photographer, but it's much sexier than that. So check it out. Kyle will put the link in the chat.
Okay, maybe. Hopefully my internet holds out long enough for that to happen.
Yeah, you look better now. The image is less pixelated.
I'm not 1,000% sure what happened.
Well, you do have a large storm coming your way that's going to drop between 4 and 20 inches of snow on you.
It's true. But it's not supposed to start for another 6 hours.
By the way, between 4 and 20 inches is the same thing that women describe your possibilities on dating sites.
With me, it's towards the higher end of that. They would be less worried. But no. I was thinking 4 and 20 blackbirds, but sure.
Okay.
I went a little more. What is that? Medieval poetry, children's rhymes.
4 and 20 blackbirds.
4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. Yeah. Most of that stuff's about the plague anyway. I don't.
I know.
Anyhow,
it's all
no.
But then we're living through a plague now, so.
Yeah, I wonder what children's rhymes are going to have. In 300 years from this plague.
All about wearing
get a tasket, a K95 masket.
Not bad. Yeah. I was going to get a plague mask, but it seemed too on the nose when everything was happening.
Because the plague doctor mask is all nose, y'all.
Yep.
Two on the nose. Oh God! Can you guys tell we're both pretty punchy?
It's been a long. It's been a long week, and it's Tuesday.
So since. Do you want to talk about a news story first, and then get into comics? Because I feel like you'll have a strong take on the one particular news story. That has kind of consumed my week.
Oh, the dad Wickline. I'm being told I'm doing dad jokes, I guess.
Lee, I'm just going to throw this out there. There are tons of great kids books that are just dad jokes. But I'm actually going to give you a serious recommendation for a children's book. It's called My First Barbecue Book. It's about animals and the sounds they make when you cook them on a grill.
And the cow goes sizzle.
As does the pig and the lamb and the fish.
Yeah.
It's pretty dark, but it's awesome.
Unless you do a cedar plank salmon or something, then it doesn't sizzle as much. But
right, but then it just goes hiss.
Yeah.
So the big news last week is that a school district in Tennessee removed mouse from their curriculum. Some facts that need to be clarified, as I will continue to report this as news. The book was added to the curriculum without the approval of the school board initially in the mid 90s to get children to interact with this part of the history curriculum and the Holocaust. It's still available in the school library. It will continue to be available in the school library. It has been removed as a required book to be taught. And they're reevaluating whether or not it's the best way to approach the story or to approach this part of history. Is there a scholarly work that will engage the students in the same way? If not, they'll probably add it back in. But in the meantime, and what's really noteworthy and worth bringing up, Mouse is the #1 bestseller on Amazon. It's sold out of distribution. Comic shops all over the place are willing to give away copies for free to anyone who may not have access to it because of a banning or a removal of curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And thousands of dollars have been raised for the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, which specifically fights comic book censorship and this kind of thing. Death to the code.
Yeah.
JD, the book Mouse by Art Spiegelman is a graphic representation in comic book form of actual things that happened to his family during the Holocaust. And he doesn't mince words. He uses language that was used, and some of that is cursey. There's some swearing, and there are actually some racial epithets that made people uncomfortable as well. They are historically accurate, but they make people uncomfortable. And the question is that the appropriate way to engage 11 and 12-year-olds in the story of the Holocaust? So,
yes.
I'm all for letting it be, but I'm not an educator, so I don't know if there are maybe better scholarly works that are out there.
I don't think sugarcoating things is the best approach to anything. And, if it wasn't working, you said that this book was added in the 90s to the curriculum, even though it was without school board approval. If it wasn't working, the teachers would have changed it. The fact that they've been using it for the 30 years or whatever, 25, 30 years means that they're getting it across and that the kids are engaging with it.
Right. When I was in school, we had our book that we had to read when we studied this part of history was Anne Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Mouse wasn't what was recommended, but Mouse was recommended by our teachers. Hey, go check out Mouse. Like, we can't teach it in schools. We have to teach Anne Frank, but you might want to read this other thing. And so maybe that's what you'll see is they'll just switch over to a nonfiction work like the Diary of Anne Frank, and Mouse will be recommended reading.
If they wanted to bring in something to replace it, they should have brought in the item of the book before banning. It shouldn't have been banned. It should have been offered as an alternative. Well, not banned.
Removed from the curriculum.
Removed from the curriculum. It should have been offered as an alternative and let the teachers decide. But there is a huge movement in this country to not teach history or to try to gloss over history because it may make people feel uncomfortable. And history is the best teacher of life. Mm-hmm. Learning from it. So anytime that you're trying to sugarcoat or wipe over parts of history, all you're doing is condemning the world to repeat those same mistakes.
Well, there are two other things I would like to bring up with this that I think are fun. One, it's the #1 selling book now. Like, it had the exact same effect Tipper Gore had on music. Now everyone wants it.
Or the church had on Dan Brown and Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, like this is the best case scenario, right? Like, parents don't understand, and it's going to make it cooler. The other thing is that a Texas school district banned V for Vendetta, the graphic novel representation of V for Vendetta, which is about banning books. Yeah. Also, but from a comic book perspective,
are they going to ban Fahrenheit 451 next?
I don't know, but from a comic book perspective, if you're going to ban an Alan Moore book, that one's maybe the least objectionable.
Yes. Lost Girls probably would have been a better choice.
Right? Like, if you're going to go after Alan Moore, he'll give you plenty of reasons, but that is not one of them. So it's just an interesting time. Support the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund. Support your local comic shop. Nancy McCann, who's here on The Experience on Friday nights, her comic shop is actually geographically the closest comic shop to that school district. And she pointed out that all the kids who are in the school now already have their copies for this year. So, but she's participating in, if you want to like make sure that anybody has access to copies, she's participating in that whole drive. So, also Nirvana Comics in Nashville. Shout out Rich Davis. So,
does the store smell like Teen Spirit?
No, but Rich Davis is the writer of Cult of Dracula and Rise of Dracula from Source Point Press.
Okay. Thought I had to keep the dad jokes going now that they seem to, So, should we?
The problem is that if I start singing the Nirvana song that comes into my head when you make that joke, we get taken off of the internet.
Also, we should probably take a moment and pass our condolences on to the family of Brian Augustin, the writer and editor from DC and other companies who passed away this weekend. At 67, he was a writing partner for Mark Waid. They worked on The Flash together and Exo Man of War. Brian was an editor at DC for a lot of years and other companies. He also is probably most famously known for writing Gotham by Gaslight, the Batman Elseworld. So he passed away this weekend. A lot of people are reacting to it. He was big in the comic scene in Arizona and surprised a lot of people. He had a stroke over the weekend, so it wasn't like he was ill for a long time or anything. It was a real sudden thing, and we pass our condolences to his family, his friends, and his fans. So
we also lost Dr. Johnny Fever.
Howard Hessman. Yeah.
So in honor of Howard Hessman, Booger. So, all right, let's get to comics.
Okay.
I don't really want to.
Just throw a cover up. We'll talk about it and we'll get into the pattern. There we go. Red Sonja, Valentine's Day Special 2022. Written by Chuck Brown. Some great covers. The interior art is cool. I spent most of the book, though, trying to figure out why we're set in whatever era this is, and the guy's wearing modern day glasses.
Yeah.
It's a fun little story about cherubs being put out, demonic cherubs put out there, and a hot spring. And it's a fun little Valentine's Day story. It's a great pickup if you want something fun to read. But again, the glasses thing just really threw me off.
This cover artist, though, I can't think of the name of the cover artist on this one off the top of my head. I can pull it up because I have that information at my fingertips. Here, this cover is Sozo Miyaka.
Sozo Miyaka.
Yeah, Sozo Miyaka. I don't know this artist.
No, to the best of my knowledge.
But keep an eye out, man. This cover is fire.
Yeah. To the best of my knowledge, this is their first Dynamite cover that I've seen. Okay, Kyle's getting all punchy, and your connection seems to be going haywire again. All right, so
Am I back?
Yep, you're back. It's a fun book, and pick it up, take a look at it at the store. You're probably going to like it. Like I said, for some reason, the glasses just really threw me out of it. But Chuck Brown
Yeah,
wrote it.
I can
It's
see
got
that.
art by Jordi Perez, Alessandro Miracolo, Moy R, Emiliana Pina, and Lorenzo Tameta. There's some great covers. There's a Lyrics cover. There's a Rachel Holden cosplay cover. And then, of course, the um, Sozo Mayaka cover, which is also available in a Virgin cover, which just means without all the trade dress on it. She still has clothes on.
Vegan cover. Well, if you say that other V word too often, YouTube will flag you for potential problems.
Okay. The cover without the trade dress.
Yes.
The undressed cover.
You can't say that either. All right. But this is Star Trek Mirror War number 4.
Mhm.
This is the one with everyone is shredded. Everyone is getting a good pump on.
Yes. If Arnold Schwarzenegger was Captain Picard, make it so, Mr. LaForge.
Right.
But it does bring up a few characters we haven't, at least I haven't seen recently. Some of the characters from Deep Space Nine with Cisco and Lieutenant Rowe and Nana Visitor's character. I can never remember her name in the show. But it's an interesting little episode or issue. We're moving definitely towards whatever is going to be the conclusion as Mirror World's Picard's plan to reach a certain planet and get them to build him an armada. He's reached the planet. He's taken over. Going to have to see what happens next.
Also, shredded with beards.
Yes, shredded with beards and eye patches. And somebody killed O'Brien. And that's just wrong. No one should kill O'Brien.
No one should kill O'Brien unless it was Monkey Man. That's a reference that like 99.98% of people won't get.
Arthur Adams.
Monkey Man and O'Brien.
Yep.
All right, this one's a thing for me to talk about. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection, the IDW collection. What this is IDW loves to repackage the Turtles. This is the paperback version of the hardcover that's come out a couple of times already. But it is the first 12 issues of IDW's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ongoing, plus the each of the micro series one shots they did when IDW first got the Turtles license from Archie a few years back. Lord, what year was that now? 2011? Something like that. So it's there's some really hard to get IDW books, but they've done a few different hardcover re-releases of this, a few different hardcover slip covers and stuff like that. This is the first time it's been less than $100 at $40 for a trade paperback.
So. This is a huge trade. I mean, there's a lot in this, and I love this cover. Now, is this Raphael, right? Raphael's the red. Okay, but I do like this cover. This is a cover that I would put, like, if they put a poster out and somebody gave it to me, I would put that on my wall. That is one mean ass turtle.
Right. This is actually the same cover that was on the original hardcover back in 2015. For the first volume. So, yeah, that's a cool cover. They got a Shredder one that I particularly would like. If anybody out there at AW is listening and you just want to send me that original piece of Shredder art, I won't be angry.
That's kind of you that you won't be angry.
Right. All right. This is Buckhead number 3 from Boom Studios. this book is getting better.
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty solid to begin with. I know we've kind of talked about this, Dan. You don't necessarily go in for the all ages crowd books all the time, and neither do I. But this one is feeling more and more like it's less all ages and more like it's got a definitive target as we go on.
Yeah, this is one of the better all ages books I've read. And, you know, when this wraps up and there's a trade, I'm probably going to buy one to give to a friend of mine's teenage kid, because I think it's a good story and I'm enjoying it. And that's why it made the list again today, because a lot of how we pick these books is we get sent review copies and we go through and I try to pick books from different studios. We have a good variety going on. Also, if it's a newer book, like a number one or a number that we can get people into, this one keeps popping up because it's one of the better things from Boom right now. I mean, I like what they're doing with the Angel and Buffy series, but this is an original concept and it's pretty interesting. And it's a little bit Jumanji. It's a little bit Matrixy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got
J.D. Smith. Mm-hmm. My reluctance in saying it's getting better is I don't ever want to say a book is getting better when it's just getting different. The quality of the book may not be improving or the story may not be improving. It may just be changing. This is one where I'm not confident. I think it's getting better and not just getting different. It's getting more refined.
The first two issues really feel like they were just world building and giving us a lot of info. This one, they're moving forward. There is definitely something happening. We've got all the info. Now we're going into action. So
I do want to take an opportunity here, though, to mention Morgan Perry. Morgan started at Boom as a retail rep and moved on to like head of direct market sales for Boom. She started there when I started as a retailer, like almost a decade ago now. And Friday is her last day. And Boom is a stronger studio, a better studio, and a more retailer-friendly studio because of her. And without Morgan, Boom would not be nearly the company it has grown into. So, shout out to Morgan Perry. Wish you luck on your future endeavors, and I mean that sincerely, even though it sounds like something the WWE would say when they fire you. She will appreciate that joke. All right. Human Remains, number 5 from Vault. It's Peter Milligan, so it's good.
I think I forgot to read this one.
Yeah?
Yep. It's all you, buddy.
Well, and I only kind of skimmed it. So, the life forms that we've been kind of following in the first 4 issues are continuing their, what's the word I'm looking for? Their conquest of man.
Uh-huh.
And they're getting to that point where, you know how in a horror movie, the killer always goes after the 2 people who just did it in the backseat of the car?
Well, of course.
We're to that trope now. Which is fine, but it's a little predictable in that point. But the military, kind of the military industrial complex that's sort of trying to fight off whatever this is, takes a huge step forward in this book. And so it's definitely kind of, you feel like, you know how a story is supposed to crest and then, you know, you kind of get to your high point and then you fall off. What is that called? The pinnacle, the
climax, the peak.
Right.
Yeah.
We're kind of here. Like, we're not quite there yet, but we're real close.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how this feels. And this is the last solicited issue that I could find on this book, but they're certainly not done telling the story.
Yeah. One of the things I really like about this book is that everybody in it seems real.
Mm-hmm.
They don't seem like comic book characters. They don't feel like I'm the hero. Yeah, they're real, average people that you probably see in your everyday life. You know, there's a realism to it,
Mm-hmm.
that how real people would have to deal with an alien invasion. It's not Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Vin Diesel and Ryan Reynolds. It's the person, your neighbor across the street. Now, if you live next to Vin Diesel, but overall, it's just your neighbor across the street. You know, it's your grandma. It's it's just average people.
Yeah. All right. Hell Sonia. Well, let's talk about some not average people for a minute.
This is a weird ass book.
I'm confident that Christopher Hastings is just a weird ass guy.
Could be.
And that he takes that to the page with him. And there's nothing wrong with that. I am a very strange individual myself, and I can recognize it in others. But I'm not sure what the hell is happening.
I mean, the basic idea is that somehow there are all these Sonias across the galaxy that are helping Hell to pull in the bad guys. And our Red Sonja is committed to going on 5 adventures, 5 quests, 5 jobs for Hell Sonja. And with this team, along with Gold, Blue, Hell Sonja, there's one more. It's Purple Sonja or something. There's a group of them. And this particular one, they're going after what seems to be a ghost ship, but it's something very different. And it's a world that this is kind of a thing right now with how many different universes or different franchises are dealing with multiverses. This is in a version of Earth that opened a portal to another version of Earth that happened to be completely filled with water, and all of that water is coming through because they made the portal permanent.
Why you do this? Why you do like this? This makes no sense.
Yes. So
like it's I like multiverses, JD Smith. I don't like them for the sake of having them. I like them for DC does a really good job with having their multiverses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Each universe is different enough that it's okay. Earth 2 Superman can come here and help Earth 1 Superman. You know, this kind of thing. Whereas what we're getting in this Hell Sonja kind of thing is that that's not really how it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's just another universe. It's like mirrored universe as opposed to a multiverse. But each mirror is slightly distorted in a different way.
Yeah.
And it feels to me a little forced. But these are the same things I was saying on issue 2 of Sheena, issue 2 of Barbarella, issue 2. So, if anything, I could say this. That Dynamite, by issue 4, I hope you have it figured out and I'm sitting here eating crow. Because that's how it's been going.
Yeah. Yep.
So. Yep. All right. Next book. This is Man or Black. Number 1.
Oh, I didn't see that cover. I had a different cover.
Well, so here's an interesting thing about Man or Black. The website and database that we use to pull the covers and get solicitation says this book came out in 2019. It did not.
No.
It has been reworked. There are new covers. This is an old cover. I do not have the new cover. It doesn't look, the text is the same in terms of the logo design.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like this anymore.
No. Doesn't look a lot different.
Not a ton different. It's the same style.
Yeah.
Stylistically, it's the same, but it's a different look. This is a horror allegory for communalism.
Okay.
And that kind of the whole it's us versus them. Yes, JD Smith, and I'll get to JD Smith's comments in just a second. This is in the same way Get Out was kind of an allegory towards isolationism and communalism, like having your community and not wanting to expand your community and kind of being insular. This is kind of that, but with a more horrific take.
Yeah, and we have two stories paralleling. We have the past and the present, which is interesting as well. And I found the past to be the more intriguing of the two so far.
I will say this. It isn't so far my favorite Cullen Bunn book. But I think it's one of the books of his that has the most potential of anything I've seen in a while that isn't his work at Valiant.
Yeah.
So JD,
fantastic.
Right, that's exactly it. So JD Smith says, I haven't read any Cullen Bunn yet, but I know homie stays hustling. That said, does his writing quality stay strong with his workload? Yes. The way Cullen has kind of said that he writes is that when an idea comes to him, he writes the whole story. Like, boom, and then comes back later and scripts it. So he did a book that just came out from Aftershock that he said he wrote in a long drive home from a Comic-Con in Philadelphia. Like just giving dictation into his phone. And then wrote it down and then scripted it out. And then when he pitched it and it sold, it printed, you know. So he works a lot because he's able to do so much and because the quality doesn't waver.
Yeah.
So,
but if you want to start on a Cullen Bunn book, I really recommend Shadow Man. They just put a trade out for the first few issues, and it is fantastic. It is some of the best stuff Valiant's been doing in a very long time, and I like Valiant a lot. So,
absolutely. All right. And our last book, and I will say this. I can confidently say this is my favorite book this week of the skims that I did.
There's a lot going on in this.
Yeah.
And there's a much more history on Bell than I expected. I don't know why it's Bell 25 annual.
You didn't really explain that in the book.
No. But basically we learn about Belle. We learn about her connection to her mother, who is not a very nice person. We find out that she's tied to, was it Artemis? The goddess? Yep. Which is the name of my pit bull, by the way. And
please tell me you just call him Artie.
She.
Artemis
is a female goddess.
All pit bulls are dudes, though.
No, and I call her Artemis. I use her full name.
So in my world, all pit bulls are dudes, all French bulldogs are dudes, all English bulldogs are girls, and anything with long hair is a girl, regardless of actual gender. It's like how all cars are female, but all planes are male.
You're a little strange.
We covered that already.
Yes. So Belle's a good story. It's self-contained. It's a huge story. It's 66 pages. There's a lot of action, but there's a lot of exposition, a lot of building of this character. If you're not familiar with Belle and Beast, this is Belle from Beauty and the Beast, their version of it. The Beast is actually her brother. So we get into that. There's a guy that works for the family named Candlestick. You getting the feeling here? But there's a lot of, like I said, world building here. So if you're not that familiar with the character of Belle, which I'm not, and I used to work for Zenescope, but Belle is one of the characters that they've done a lot more with since. So check it out. It's a good book. The art's good. Igor Vitorino does a lot of the covers. Here he also does a big chunk of the interior, which isn't normal for them. So they actually got him to do some of the interiors. It's a good looking book. And again, there's not a lot out there.
Mm-hmm. Igor's interiors have that same quality of his covers. Like, you don't see a drop off when you, like, sometimes you see a cover artist go do interiors and it's like, that ain't the same guy.
Yep.
With Igor, it is. So.
Yeah. So definitely check this book out this week. It is probably one of the best of the week. I don't know if I don't really see. Yeah, I think it's probably the best of the week because I'm not really seeing. Hell, Sonia was pretty good. The Red Sonia Valentine special was really good. Buck, I mean, they were all pretty even. So
yeah, it was a solid week, but it's a weird week, and as a result, it's a weird week.
Yep. So take your money and back Karma.
There are worse things you could do.
Yeah, we're in the final 49 hours, and we're climbing. We broke 45,000. We have 982 backers. I really want to get to 1,000 backers, so need a bit more, but we're getting up there. So if you haven't checked out the thing yet, please do so. And tomorrow on the Dan Wickline Show, we will be talking about the Legend of Vox Machina, the new animated series. I am one of the backers from the original Kickstarter. There are my dice that I got for backing them. And we'll be talking about them tomorrow on the show.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, this will be it'll be interesting to see where Karma ends, whether or not you get volume 2, because I've been thinking about the story and I have questions for you.
Okay. Yeah, you being one of the few people who've actually read the whole graphic novel.
They're off the air questions because I can't do it without spoiling the book.
Yeah.
So but I have questions for you if Nick decides not to do a volume 2. And if Nick decides not to do a volume 2, I'm gonna go to his office and, like, I don't know, spray it with fart spray. I'll come up with something. So I'm very excited for you, man, to be getting very close to the end there.
Yep. I'm ready to be done because, again, self-promotion is not my thing. It takes a lot out of me to keep hyping, and I'm one of those that I really like to have my work speak for itself. So
yeah.
So I'll be happy when it's out there and people can judge it. But hopefully we'll get a few more backers. We'll hit that 1,000 backer mark, because again, that would make me very happy to get over 1,000 backers. So, but we're getting close, and we got 48 hours left.
So. All right. So, with that, I think we're going to wrap up here, Dan. We could talk about Tom Brady, the GOAT, but I was reminded that Tom Brady is in fact not the GOAT. That goes to Otto Graham, and who did everything Tom Brady did, but in only 10 years.
I don't know, 22 years of being the same quality of quarterback.
The length is definitely impressive, but Otto Graham played in 10 conference championships, won 7 championships, and did it all in 10 years. He went every year in his entire career.
But Otto Graham, when he was playing the NFL, the leagues weren't equal. There was no parity. You had great teams and you had some crappy teams. You had You had teams that didn't exist the following year.
Sure, but Otto Graham hit 1,000 and Tom Brady hit just under that.
Yeah. Tom Brady's 44 years old, still looks like he's in his 30s, has a supermodel wife, and threw more touchdowns and more yardage than any other player in the NFL last year, and he's retiring.
Lee Bizzle. It's called Plugs. It's called Plugs, Lee Bizzle.
You wish.
No, he's been open about it. He went and had, so he was early on in his career, he was losing some of his hair, and he went and he had hair plugs put in, and then later had hair restoration. He's been open about that. That it was something that he did because it made him feel good about himself, and I'm good with that. Mm-hmm. I don't begrudge Tom Brady anything other than the fact that he went to Michigan and played for the Patriots. Had he gone anywhere else for college and played for any other team, I'd be like, yeah, okay.
See, I'm a fan of Michigan. I like the Wolverines. Tumunga Biaka Patuka is a personal favorite of mine. So, Tom Brady.
And here's the thing. Had he just gone to Michigan and then gone and played for had he spent his whole career in Tampa, wouldn't care. I hate Bill Belichick.
You can hate Bill Belichick, but just think about this. The last 2 years with him down in Tampa pretty much showed that Belichick isn't the end-all and be-all.
Oh, no, I understand. Like I said, if he played his whole career in Tampa, I wouldn't be saying any of this. But he played for New England, and I can't stand Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
It's one of those things is like, had he gone to Michigan and be like, all right, he went to Michigan. And then if he'd gone to Dallas and won 9 Super Bowls, I've been like, okay, I kind of hate Dallas, but can't argue with the guy. Mm-hmm. But nah, he had to go up there to Boston, and we had to hear Mock talk about it.
Do you not like Belichick because of his time with the Browns?
I don't like Belichick because I've met the man.
Okay.
And yeah, his time with the Browns. Yeah.
I mean, you could not like the Patriots, but you got to have respect for what the guy pulled off. The guy went to 10 Super Bowls. Basically, every third year of his career, he won a Super Bowl.
And he lost how many to Eli Manning? But no, my problem is Belichick and Kraft, not so much Tom Brady or anybody else. And Belichick is from his time with Cleveland and the way he treats people who are in the media and who are just trying to do a job. Yeah. Doesn't treat him particularly well. And as a result, I'm not a fan of him. So
you got to say, look, I'm not a fan of the Rams. I was a fan of the Rams. I grew up a Rams fan. I'm from LA. That was my team. And then in 1995, they left. They buggered out. And I said, to hell with them. I picked a new team, Carolina Panthers. Now I'm a ride or die with the Panthers. And trust me, it's been rough the last couple of years. Now, the Rams are in the Super Bowl. I'm not bandwagoning them. I'm not suddenly back to being a Rams fan. But
well, they're the Detroit Rams now.
But I would be happy for Matthew Stafford to get a Super Bowl win because of all that he had to go through in Detroit. Also, I would love for the Cincinnati Bengals to get a Super Bowl because of all that they've had to go through just being the Bengals. Mm-hmm. So, Super Bowl coming up, I don't care who wins. I'm hoping it's a good game. There's good commercials. A halftime show isn't horrible. Nobody shows a boob, and we get a good game. And I'll be happy with whoever wins.
I placed a bet before Sunday's games. I got the Bengals at 100-1 odds to win the Super Bowl. I placed a $12 bet.
Nice. Very
I'm
nice.
really pulling for the Bengals.
Good. I hope you win. Like I said, I'll be happy with the Bengals winning. I'll be happy with Matthew Stafford getting a Super Bowl because I think he just, for all that he's put through, I have no problem with either one of those. Because I've gone into Super Bowls but Lee, I think I lean towards Russell being the better of the two between Russell and Jordan, because Jordan, I think, has had a better surrounding cast around him with Pippen and Rodman. And I have to mention Scott Williams, who was I actually went to high school with. So I think Russell pretty much carried his teams on his own. And Jordan had a good cast around him. Mind you, nothing against Jordan is phenomenal. And we are talking about the best of the best of the best type,
Right.
There's a handful of players on this level, and Jordan and Russell are up there. But I'm also, I'm a huge fan of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, Kobe and there are some rarefied air players, and then there's the rest of the league, I grew up a fan
NBA player of all time.
What?
The best NBA player of all time?
Mm-hmm.
Detlef Schrempf.
I'd say Kurt Rambis. The guy could bleed on demand. He looked like Clark Kent in the one white guy in the middle of the Lakers. And when he was out of the game, they did not do as well.
I'll stand by Detlef Schrempf.
Spud Webb.
Best comedic timing of any professional athlete ever, Detlef Schrempf. All right. Well, guys, we're out of stuff to talk about. Dan and I have moved on to just naming random white middlemen from the NBA in the mid-90s. So we're going to wrap it up. Dan will be back tomorrow at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, where he will be talking about Vox Machina, which I have to watch before then, so he doesn't spoil it for me. And then he'll be back on Thursday to talk about the Book of Mandalorian. And I will be back with other things. So we will see you guys next time on In Stores This Week. For Dan, I've been Kyle.
Have a great one, guys.